Hello, welcome back. This is Chef. We're going to continue from yesterday's remake. Chef of Plants is going to incorporate some of this rich base that we made on our show yesterday. You can watch that from the back end if you'd like, but it's a base that I've been making for years, and it's nutrient rich and flavorful. And we're sort of kind of decided to throw some borscht together today. So I'm going to show you how to easily do a nice vegetable borscht and nourish your family. And this soup will keep for a week in your refrigerator, and you can just feed them every day off of it. So what I've got going on here is I did parboil the carrots a little bit because they take so long to cook, just for the convenience and rapidness of the show itself. So, also the asparagus takes a little bit longer, but I saved that because I wanted to show you how to actually prepare asparagus. For the purpose of a soup or a borscht, we're just going to cut it up small, but you want to use as much of the asparagus as you can, but you don't want to use the tough part. So if you just take the asparagus, grab it firmly on the end, where it breaks is what's tough. You can throw that away and keep the part that doesn't break off. So that way, rather than trying to cut it where it looks like it's tender, it'll automatically do that, and that'll give you your maximum tender part of the asparagus. So you just hold it toward the end and just bend it. You can do a couple at a time if you'd like so. And this is not my technique. Some chef showed me this many years ago. But it works really well. Okay, so now that we've got the asparagus cut off, we're going to actually just cut it to small pieces because we're going to add it to the borscht, and we want it to be user-friendly in the actual soup itself. When we go to eat it, I'm going to leave the tips a little bit longer. And what I've got is I've got a pot of water going back here for the soup itself. You could use stock if you like, but like I said, we showed you how to make my rich veggie nutrient base on the first episode on the YouTube channel, and that will give you everything that you need as far as flavor, salt. I'm going to add a little additional herbs to drive it toward a flavor opposite, a little bit different than the, of course it comes out different anyhow because you're putting all different types of vegetables in it. So even though you're using the same base for different soups, you're using different bases, different stock vegetables and noodles and things like that. That'll change the flavor a little bit. But I'm going to add a little bit of oregano, I think. So I'm going to not put this in the soup. Since asparagus takes a little bit longer, I'm going to add it to some boiling water, just like I did the carrots. And then strain it real quick. I'm going to cook it very al dente, strain it real quick and throw it in the stock pot along with the carrots. And the potatoes I didn't cook because they're minced really small. I got a little bit of sweet potato and regular potato. I'm going to put those in right now so they can start cooking. And they won't take long at all because I've minced them. And the asparagus, like I said, we're going to parboil a little bit. Oh, I also have green beans. I'm going to parboil those with the asparagus. They're cut up really small. And I'm going to add some kale to get finished. This doesn't take long to cook at all. And again, we're all about doing things al dente so that they have really high nutrient rich quality and food and content. So again, it's about nourishing the family, not about making something that's tasty. That's going to happen automatically when you're using nutrient rich foods. So here goes. I'm going to add a little onion too. This is a sweet onion. Really won't need to cook long because it's a sweet onion and we're going to mince it. And if we're not familiar with onions, you just cut off each end, take out the outside layer, this, making the base, but you're just going to cut the onion in half. We're going to take the core out a little bit right there. And then remember, you're just going to cut it the same grain as the onion goes, but not cutting all the way into the onion, all the way back, so that you're creating like a fan, as you can see. But if you leave it intact in the back, it's easier to hold together, and then when you cut it, you're getting a nice mince. Very efficient way to mince your onion from scratch rather than using some type of processor. If you prefer to use processors, it's fine. I just think if you get good at hand cutting and using the techniques I show you, you really won't need to process in the processor. So, straight into the soup with the onion. We've got our sweet potato, our regular potato, our onion in the stock pot. And we've got our asparagus and beans back there boiling already. I'm going to shut it off, finish this onion. And I parboiled some beets right here. We're going to cut those up. A borscht isn't a borscht without beets. It's a root vegetable. It's a peasant stew, I think, from like Slovak, Ukrainian, that whole area up there, you know, Czechoslovakia, which is my background from my ancestors. I've never been there. But I do know how to cook a lot of that stuff, pierogies and stuff. My grandmother used to make this type of foods. And this is really just vegetable stew, but call it borscht because we're going to put beets, and I just like to say borscht. It sounds so funny. I usually put a lot of beets. This is all I have. So on your beets, after you peel them, you kind of have to trim off the ends a little bit because there's going to be dirt gets caught up right at the very top. You don't need to trim off much, but there is some grit there. It's natural with the beet. It's where it develops. It gets down in where the leaves grow out. And don't throw your leaves away. Those are some of the best nutrient-rich parts. Beet greens are awesome. You can eat them raw. You can have them to the stews. So remember, I've already cooked these beets, so I'm just going to put them in the bowl here and add them at the very last. Because we're going to add still a few more things that need to cook just a little bit. Remember that we're not cooking this soup very long because everything is either parboiled if it was difficult, like this carrot, or it's like the sweet potato and the potato, and it just doesn't take a couple of minutes to get tender. And we don't need to be precise about this. This is peasant stew, so the peasants don't expect the chef to be accurate with his dicing. Okay, so that is done. Okay, that's the last of that vegetable. The only vegetable we have left is this organic kale. Well, there's Tom. Thanks, Tom. You brought us some hot peppers for our borscht. Thank you, sir.
Hi, how are you? Are you live?
We are live.
There you are.
Thank you, sir. Tom bought us some hot peppers. We like a little spiciness to our borscht. I'm just going to throw a couple of them in and pull them out later. I'm going to put them in the hottest water so they hydrate. Thank you, sir. A new mic we're going to try. So I'm going to add the kale to the cooking stock pot. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Neighbors are the best. are golden on this. We just need to bring this up to a little bit higher temperature. Add a little bit more water. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is add the beets because they're already cooked all the way, and then I'm going to add the rich veggie base. After I shut this off, we don't need to cook anymore. We don't want to cook the nutrients out of the foods. We want it to be really rich and nourishing. So we're only going to add that rich base after we've cooked all the vegetables al dente. And we are just about there. It doesn't take long. And remember that we're going to put a lot of this soup back in the fridge, pull it out day after day. So if you're going to do that, remember that every time you reheat that soup, you're cutting back on some of the nutrients. You're burning up some of the nutrients. So it's okay to do that. Just understand that's why you really want to get this al dente. The vegetables are still crispy. It might seem like the first serving is a little bit, wow, this stuff isn't cooked enough or whatever. Try to get your family used to that. The next day after it sits, you're going to heat it up again. It's going to get cooked a little bit more. But that way you're able to preserve those fresh vegetables that you used, or else you might as well be using canned, right? I didn't mean that because I didn't think you should use canned vegetables. So we've got our beans and our asparagus pre-cooked now. I'm going to wait for this to get a little bit warmer since I just put that kale and onions in there. And it's almost there. And there's our veggie base from yesterday. So just a recap on this veggie base, which is my secret to all my soups and stews. So this is celery and carrot and onion, which is a mirepoix, and garlic, and then we added a lot of turmeric and ginger, all fresh. We took everything al dente, and then we pureed it in the Vitamix, and we've got it to use another day, meaning today. All right, I'm going to add some oregano to this too at the very finish. This needs to grow more before I kill it. Smells amazing. And I'm going to put that at the very last. Okay, so we've got our nice al dente borscht going without our main ingredient of beets. So it's just a vegetable soup right now. Smells amazing. So now we're going to go ahead and add our cooked carrots. And we're going to add some more water. Chef's always cooking too much food. Always making this in too much quantity. We have plenty of base, so it doesn't matter. And we have plenty of neighbors to feed. Okay. This is almost to a boil, so we're going to go ahead and add another vegetable in our asparagus and our green bean, which you saw how fast I cooked that. That was just an al dente. I had it in a wrap bowl, I put it in for a few minutes and pulled it out right away. And strained it, and then added it to the soup. You can't do that right in the stock pot. I just was doing it, I was preparing it a little bit in advance so that we could do this quickly and show you how to do this in a short time frame. So it's fine to do it all in the stock pot. You're just going to keep track of your carrots have to cook a little bit first, then you've got to cook your green beans, and it's how you layer it in and then let it come back to a rapid, boil before you add the next vegetable. Okay, so now we're going to add our beets and making a vegetable soup into a borscht. And then last, or I should say almost second to last, I'm going to call the herbs just a garnish, really. So I'm going to bring this over here, camera. Got our vegetable stock. Oh, I'm spilling it. So there's our vegetable soup. Now we add the rich main ingredient. Khai's trying to cue me in here. I'm not showing you well enough.
That's what I was trying to say, come around front instead of just...
Oh, come around front. I should come around the counter. Good idea. I'll do that. So there's our base. It's the turmeric, ginger, very important, garlic, onion, celery, and carrots. We just kind of made a veggie stock basically with a lot of turmeric and ginger for nutrient richness and flavor. And we're even going to rinse it out because we won't lose any of that precious base. And there we go. Okay, stir that in. Oh my gosh, look at this, this is dope. Wow. All right, there's our borscht, and with our garnish of oregano, and I'll bring it over here close to the camera so everybody can get a good look at this. So you can call it vegetable soup, but I call it borscht. If we had more beets, it'd look more like a borscht, because usually borscht are a little red tinge. That'll happen probably a little bit from sitting in the fridge. But I wish you could smell it, because Khai and I are going, oh, and salivating like crazy. So that's just one soup. You can make any kind. We'll do a ramen soup next time we make a soup. But again, it's about having that base. So watch our first episode and make that base. And thanks for tuning in, y'all. Chef says goodbye. Looking forward to showing you next time a few more things.